Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Cranky Mac Admins. There's a lot more people here than I thought were actually going to show up. So before we start, I do want to get a show of hands. How many of you administrate Macs at your location? Lots of them. Perfect. And how many of you daily drive a Mac? So you know the frustrations that Mac users see. Cool. So my name is Jeremy. I'm going to be leading most of this presentation, I believe, but I am joined by Todd and Lewis, who both serve on the KUIT JAMP committee. That's kind of what we've named our guiding force for our Mac administration. Lewis, if you want to introduce yourself, I will let you take over because you have a new title, and I don't know if I butchered that or
not. My name is Lewis Antoine. I'm the Associate Director of Support Services for KUIT. I was originally an IT engineer, the service owner of JAMP still. Hopefully to hand that off or whatever, but I've been administering Macs in the JAMP environment at KU for 8 years
now. Todd?
Okay. Well, IT support technician senior, tier 2. I have been doing Mac administration at KU for IT since 2013. Prior to that, I was an independent tech before IT was centralized, and the school that I worked for was like 95% Mac. So that's my history with Macs.
And our goal here is going to be more of an interactive one. I was hoping for a round table, but I think it'll do just like this. We want, square tables. We want to get everyone's feel of what's working for them, what's not, and kind of bring people together so they can ask questions to better administrate Macs in their areas. So I'm going to talk about a few items today of what's going really well at KU. And Lewis, I think you have some future implementations that we're going to be doing. So one of the things that we started using at KU is Installator. Is anyone familiar with Installator? Got a few hands, and the person that introduced me to it. So it's a great application that can deploy software without you having to do the heavy lifting. It allows you to use JAMP. I know there are other MDMs out there. I'm familiar with JAMP. So if we've got JAMP users, it works really well. It can be used on other MDMs. For those JAMP users, how many of you are still on-prem if you are using JAMP? Got a couple. It alleviates you having to put the software on the distribution point and then pushing it out because it automates that process for you. It goes right to the source, gets the software, downloads it to the Mac. For the other MDMs out there, it can do the same thing, just depends on how you want to use it. What we've done with Installator is we have taken it and we've evolved it to take care of our third-party patching. So we use smart groups to target which machines are out of date on this software, and then we force them to update with Installator. It's a rather simple process once you get into it, and there are other applications you can use like Auto or App Auto Patch, which take Installator to the next level and just does all the patching for you. For now, I'm going to hand it off to Lewis, who's going to talk about the future things we're doing, and then we will ask you what's going well in your area, or what do you want to hear about from us?
Yeah, so I don't know what your all's environment looks like, but for us, like one of the things that we run into as a challenge in our environment is that we have varying versions of user accounts. So we have some who bind their devices to the domain and they use mobile accounts on the device. Some have local standards. In some areas, they have local admin accounts that the users or their primary user accounts are. We have labs that are only AD bound, don't save any user directories, anything like that. Some that do. So to flatten that support model, one of the things we've looked into is implementing something like JAMP Connect. So rather than having 7 to 8 different flavors on our campus, we have potentially 2. JAMP Connect for one-on-one deployments that syncs with their Entra ID account information. And then the other version just being AD bound for lab environments, because we found that even though it is advertised as a good lab solution, Jamf Connect really isn't made that way, from what we've found out with working with Jamf. So some of the things we've been working on is getting that ready for implementation across the board. We just started testing with our tier 2 and tier 3 techs about this, and to really see like what migration from whatever's out there now to Jamf Connect looks like in our environment. So that's one, I wouldn't say challenge, but one of the things that we really highlighted as a Jamf committee and support group, to really start addressing to basically like shore up that support model for our Mac users, so they have a more consistent experience across the board in our environment. The other thing that we're looking at implementing in the future here pretty soon is Jamf Labs. Right now, we don't have the best way of administering our devices. Some use _A accounts, some use local standard account or local admin accounts specific to the team's needs. So we're really looking at like also standardizing that across the board a little bit more. Right now, what's been working for people is awesome, but I think moving forward, so Jamf Labs looks like a more supportable model for us. And when we're looking at that, I'm sure like all of you, we have a lot of remote users. And for whatever reason, those remote users love Macs. So one of the things we're hoping to implement is Jamf Remote Assist as well. We're, probably about 2 or 3 weeks away from getting that finished, just because we have to enable two-factor authentication, to consider the security side of things, as Jamf Remote Assist does provide unattended access. So right now, we don't have that set up on our Jamf instance or whatever, so we're working to do that, as well as migrate our devices over from RHEL 7 to RHEL 9. So that's a little bit of what we have in the future. And I know in further off conversations, we're talking about like more cloud management, moving away from on-premise and to the cloud. But those are future aspirations of further out in the year.
So we hope we have the shortest presentation for you, because we want to hear from you all, like what's working for you. So you've heard what's working well for us, and we're happy to answer any questions you have about Installamator or the things we want to implement, like Jamf Labs, which we have researched. But does anyone have something that they've done over the last year or a couple of years in their instance that has made managing Macs just amazing?
I'll contact you, and I think we are almost the same line. You guys, we are implementing Jamf Connect. We are not aggressively pushing it. We pretty much actually want the end user is interested and they're having a hard time and getting tired of all this hassle situation. They want our self-service and enabled on their own. What we are actually moving forward with really the firewalls. I'm not sure what is your guys' scenario was that on that. We did not have the firewall enabled from the get-go from our Macs. Because of we are integrating into Azure, our conditional policy would need to require the firewall to enable. And that's what we are moving forward and doing that. We are pushing the firewall enabled remotely through Jamf, but we are having a situation that machines are not checking in and not responding, and it's gonna fail. So one of my questions is that you guys having any problem regarding the machines or devices are not checking in, and we are on the cloud too. So
Yes, all together. File Vault has been one of the trickiest things, I think. We're actually really lucky because Daniel is here, from our security, and he has witnessed all of the trickery that File Vault offers. We don't have a good solution. I'll just come out and say it. We don't have an amazing solution. We have solutions that are working, and we want to move forward towards a best practice of anytime something gets imaged, part of that process is always ensuring that that is done and that if there's a background check to make sure that File Vault is turned on. There are oddities that come with that. Like, what do you do when someone's logged into their own iCloud. They used their Apple ID and they escrowed the key to the wrong place. I have seen oddities where it said the key was escrowed, but we couldn't find it in iCloud and we couldn't get it from our Jamf instance. So there's a lot of oddities around that. So I'm happy to hear if anyone has solved the file vault mystery, I will take all that knowledge.
Yeah, we're really interested too.
No, we had meetings with our Apple representatives on campus. And they flat out told us from the start, all data on the disk are already encrypted. And so the only thing you're doing is enabling file vault, if I get this wrong, is just moving where the public key is off there. And that's it, because I mean, they're like, the data's already encrypted.
Mhm.
Just turning that on, you're not actually encrypting the data because it's already there.
Yep.
You're just moving key somewhere else, the public key. So that's kind of where we kind of backed off on that, because it was a popular conversation.
It was, and we have heard the same from Apple. When we met with our representatives the last time, they gave us the same guidance. And I think there is some security hesitations about how to go about that method. So I would be curious to know, has your security department investigated that? Like, where's their stance on going with that route? Has it been comfortable with it?
I can't give you an answer on that.
Okay.
I'm just saying, we just wanted to understand the process. But no, unless Lynn has told you otherwise. That's the way.
So they're pretty comfortable with it being just encrypted out of the box from Apple? Okay. Well, yeah, I think it does, it's a challenge if you want to do file vault in that sense, but I also understand if Apple is saying it's encrypted, it would be nice to see if anyone has like true statistics on their encryption and what they do. I'm not sure that Apple will reveal that to anyone, but it's always a question to be asked. So don't have a good answer for file vault, but it sounds like one method would be to just go with the encryption right out of the box.
As was our scenario, our CISO would not approve it, and because of one of the conditional policies to the Max, the Azure, and one of the conditional policies as that needs to be the firewall enabled. So we are struggling on that scenario. But good to know that you're not the only one.
No, that's the point of being here, is that we all share some of the similar problems. So getting ideas from other people is really what we wanted to do. I've got two. Do you have a hand up? Do you want to go first? Do you want to go first? Yeah, hand up.
So for your file vault, we found out to fix it by using Intune. It does have a built-in policy that automatically forwards the file vault keys straight to your Intune.
Interesting.
So you said
Yes.
I'm sorry.
We use Intune well at Port City. And we're actually looking to switch to Jamf in July, but that is one feature that I know was a big topic.
So I have a question on that. Are you using Intune as your MDM, or are you using it full-blown Intune? Because that has been on our radar of something we want to investigate and hear from. What does that look like for you? Like, you don't have to give me specific details, but has it been easy? Are there challenges that you see going through Intune for?
So it's actually pretty easy. You just go to ADM, you create your token, you load it into Intune. It's connected, it automatically syncs all your devices in Apple Business Manager and awards it to Intune. The challenging part would be specific apps. You have to build up the correct scripts for those to allow either kernel extensions or software-based extensions to be allowed on Macs, because they have that all restricted on there. But they have added so many more features now. You can control Mac updates. You can now do attached log purchasing license to it, and it will self-update. So once they install it, it's done. The only thing I've run into is I had it down to where it automatically auto images the device. So when you purchase it from Mac, you can just ship it directly to the customer. They open it up and they have to sign in with your EID. The only issue I run into is allows them to create it still allows them to create a local account. I'm trying to work on a way where it just instead just use their EID. Instead. That's the only
Interesting.
hurdle I run into, but a lot of vault works, you have the firewall turn on easy and all that stuff, so.
So I'm kind of curious, how you've got the EID login to a Mac.
So when you create your deployment profile, it's gonna give you several selections on how you want to do the enrollment process. And there is the classic view, which is, if the machine is in Intune, and it's already been marked as corporate, it will automatically allow the connection, and you still be like just a regular Mac out of the box. Them to use their EID, want to switch it over to the logger detection. And what that does is it, before it even gets to the part of creation, account creation, it tells them that they have to register the device through Azure. And they have to verify themselves.
This might not be exactly the wheelhouse. Do you know how you guys got set up with Intune? Because we have Azure, we have HID, but we tried to set up Intune and they said,
I think it's usually just a purchase of a license, and you have to create your actual client. Yeah, and then you should be able to, I would definitely talk to your Microsoft rep on that one.
Other question again, I could something. You guys made this Jamf shop before and then you moved to Intune, or you started from Intune?
So, right now I'm with K-State and we're using Jamf. My previous job was full blown all Intune, and I'm working on getting everything over to Intune here as well, so.
So you want
You
to
wanna
move away from Jam.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. You're gonna abandon Jamf. That's your goal or whatever, is to abandon Jamf and then to do all in.
Well, not totally, because there are certain things we can do in Jamf that we can't do in Intune, so I think it's gonna have to be a unison setup.
Such as,
willing to do it.
iPads, iPhones, and any Apple device. As long as you have their device, deployment profiles correctly and in their, compliance policies and configuration policies.
What are the items that you do in Jamf that you cannot do?
I thought there was, sorry, maybe it's sticking out loud.
Technically, some things are easier, so like for instance, Jamf is easier to do, your software creations, because you can just import the scripts, so like, let's say CrowdStrike or Falcon, you have to build out the script to allow kernel extensions. Luckily enough, with Jamf, you can just import their script directly from their site, but with, Intune, you just have to build it out first, and then you can export it. But that's, to me, that was the only difference I saw, was just software building was much easier. While on Microsoft side, it's a little, you gotta package it, and then you gotta upload it. There's a couple of things that can go wrong with that.
I think that on the topic of Intune, I think that Installmator might make your life easier. It's a script that you upload and it just goes through and it'll curl the URL for the download and then bring it down. So that sounds like that might make things like that a little bit easier if you can deploy scripts.
It will work unless you're using the volume licensing purchasing program through Apple, then it won't work. Anything that's you purchase on there has to go through Apple and has to be certified.
True. Done through there.
Yes, so, if you have like custom apps and stuff, you have to get that certified in your developer account, and once you get that, then you can add that to your AVM tenant, which will automatically upload it to your Intune and force it out. But if you don't have those certs, Intune will just not do anything.
Not do.
Because it's blocked by it.
Interesting.
do you build a lot of in-house apps for Mac?
We had a couple that were built by our dev team for my previous position. And they had Apple developed accounts, and once it got approved, they were able to certify those, and then we were able to just upload it to AVM. And once AVM sees it, just get a wait till the sync process happens and then you just go on and pull it up. It's pretty easy on that one.
That gives us quite a bit to think about because the first time I ever looked at Intune with Apple, it was way back. So it was back when it wasn't a viable contender to Jamf, and it sounds like from your experience it is.
3 to 4 years ago, it was terrible for me. And then now it has gotten so good. I would say it's definitely a contender.
Interesting.
I had a question on the file vault,
Hmm?
more from the user side. I've had a lot of trouble over the years where I'll change my password and then file vault will be not updating and it'll be like 3 passwords old and I have to remember both of them. Do you have any better way for me to change my passwords so that doesn't?
Don't change your password.
Yeah, 1 password for the rest of your life, because I know that I had the keychain also when you get out of sync there. I can't say that I have a great idea for it because I've not really worked on the file vault side of it. I've done more of the heavy lifting of getting Installmator up and running and getting apps deployed. But if
What kind of
either-
account do you
Um,
Is it a local account or a mobile account?
I think it's a mobile.
Like you do the thing where you use the dsconfig AD command to bind your Macs to the domain. Is that what you do?
I'm just using it as a user.
Oh,
It does say mobile.
Okay, probably managed mobile. Okay, and your institution requires you to change passwords?
Yeah.
Okay, that's been, you know,
What I did last time was I came into the building, so I was on site.
yeah, it works better if you're on site.
And then I didn't change it through the web interface, I changed it through the Macs interface, the thing got picked up, that seemed to work.
That's I know the preferable way in our instance, unless someone else has seen something like that where the passwords do get out of sync and has a better alternative. Ours is to always try to complete your password change through the Mac itself, so it knows about the password and propagates to itself and then out to the rest of our domain.
Does being on site make any difference going?
You have to be able to, you have to be able to hit your identity management. However that happens, and if you're in a place like with our domain controllers for standard password changes, you do need to be on campus, right? Or you could connect to the VPN and think.
Yeah.
That works.
That would, I'm pretty sure that works on Macs to do the VPN
That's
first.
only-
I'm on campus all the time now, so I haven't dealt with that in quite a while. But I'm pretty sure it mirrors Daniel. Is it mirroring the Windows side with the security password changes? VPN does work on Mac.
So your connections to VPN rely on your credentials.
Mm.
I don't know if the VPN will kick you out if your password changes, and if that would cause some horrendous, situation on the device. It'd be worth testing. It should. We've dealt with that. I mean, people just, once they've changed their password, connected to VPN, they just lock the screen while they're still connected, and it'll force them to have to try that new credential. Yeah, on the Windows side, that works. Yeah, I'm curious if that works as seamlessly on the Mac side, and that's, yeah. Currently, we do not have that, so that's something we definitely. Jim, and it was gonna be.
Well, that's mainly what we use. That's a piece.
I'm gonna come back to you on that. We've got one question here.
Alright, just, commenting on also WC, we have the same issues with synchronization from keychain, firewall, and, I think Jamf Connect, we figured this, that Jamf Connect will control all of the apps.
Mhm.
But we haven't actually gone the full 6 months yet, so people start changing their passwords again. So we don't know if it's 100% working yet. It's one of our pain points, but we have said that Jeff, when you change the password, it will synchronize firewall and your keychains and everything else there.
Yeah, we are in the testing phases, so I would love to hear from both of you that have talked about Jamf Connect now. how'd you go about it? Was it a heavy lift to actually start rolling out to your testing units? Have you rolled it out to all of campus?
We did a testing internally. We have not, we had not rolled it out to the entire campus. We just made it available for the campus. In the meantime, we just want to have it in the self-service available and the people will do it and we just keep advertising it. But at one point we are getting the kind of like Daniel mentioned, try to make sure that what we will see out of a small portion of people are moving and doing it after 6 months, what's the result gonna be, and then if we're successful, we will end up pushing it to the entire campus. But right now we are having it as available.
Interesting. And on your, did you also say you had Jamf Connect up and running?
Well, I mean, I'm with WC.
Oh, you're okay, cool. I can't see name tags, so I should have asked like everyone to say their school while they talk.
From my perspective, I only administer a small area with our facilities team. And we have 5 max versus God knows how many Windows boxes. But I know I personally use the Jamf Connect functionality to be able to change my password while I was off site. To kind of lead with your question, if it still works with VPN, it did for me, but that's not exactly indicative of whether y'all specific VPN set up with ours. It was just okay, lock your screen, put in the new password after you've changed it, and then it just re-authenticated to global protect in our case. Good.
Another thing that we noticed about Jamf Connect, because we are to change our password, we said to the Microsoft, it's a service password we said, and when we moved that to that, we're never gonna get the email when your password gonna get expired anymore. And you're gonna pop up, your Windows machine gonna get popped up, and we noticed that with the Jamf Connect, there is an icon on the top that will tell you how many more days left your password get expired.
The only reason that this is happening.
It's very nice feature, yeah. I have one more question for the intern person.
Yeah.
You guys never had any problem for packaging the applications or even any push out or any policy? Would that be a delay to get synced? Because
So in Intune, we see literally any app or policy in about 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
You'll see it kick in about 5 minutes. The ones that I've seen, there were issues, on the application side, especially with the line safety program. That would see that if they're on a volume first program, they won't be able to download apps through App Store, they'll be completely blocked. So you'll see like Xcode, for instance, will have a new update, but on Apple Business Manager side, it might take a couple of days to a week before that update even gets pushed to your devices then. So if it's a critical thing, you'll have to wait to set on the Apple side, but that's the only things I've seen. Everything else seems to be pushed just fine. You just gotta make sure you have all your apps are signed. So if they're from Apple, you're good to go. Either your in-house created ones, you gotta make sure your devs have that certificate signed. And then you can push out and should install stuff.
Yes.
So a little about our environment. We don't have many Macs. We have 2 computer labs with Mac desktops, and that's it. But when I inherited that environment, they were wide open, no MDM, nothing, and that caused some interesting issues. So we've managed to get some of that sorted out, but we still don't have a good way to create or implement user accounts on them. So every single one's just using a generic username and password. Is there a better way to go about that and or to use the credentials that we're already using for Windows machines, either with AD or Enter ID?
It's up to you if you want to take that one, because
Yeah, we traditionally I managed a lot of Mac labs. There are fewer than there used to be, but there's still journalism, School of Ed, definitely art and design. There are still Mac labs, and traditionally going back a long time, over 10 years, we just bound to AD. And so you walk up to a Mac, never touched it before because you're a student, you're going into a class and you log in with your your AD credentials. So it's just a straight bind to your AD. I mean, that would be preferable to everybody. You're saying right now, everyone uses the same account?
Yeah, I mean, let's just say username and password taped to the desk.
Oh, okay.
That's the best way to do it. Always go that route.
So
No,
what we want to know is, has anyone tested Jamf Connect to do, because the, you know, on the support forums and tech talk, Slack, Mac admin Slack, everyone's like, oh, you're still finding the AD, get away from that, get away from that. So Jamf sold us Jamf Connect as a lab solution. And I was wondering if anyone is using it in a lab environment for what they call just-in-time account creation, where you've never touched that Mac before. You can walk up to it just like you can with an AD-bound Mac. And if you have permissions globally to use that lab, you know, which most of our labs, anyone who's a KU fact staff student can do, can you do that with Jamf Connect? That's what we're trying to make that work, because Jamf says it's a great solution, and so far we've gotten two different messages. We've gotten the marketing messages, of course it works, and then the engineer is like, oh, I don't think so. So Wichita State, do you guys use it in labs?
I'm confirming,
Hmm?
just confirming without admin that it's, I mean, I don't think you're using it in the lab.
Okay.
I think our class here is staff.
Oh, we are.
Probably honest to
We are using it. So, I'm just getting some information because my guy couldn't make it, so.
no problem. It is interesting. And if you are, I think we would like to get input from you on it, because our Jamf consultant has been amazing, but they have said it's not a good thing. And then you go look at a white paper that says that it is. And it says that, I don't know, one of the other major universities is implementing Jamf Connect in their lab. So that's a hot topic for us. We explored Nomad at one time to kind of take care of this, the free version of Jamf Connect, but it has not been successfully implemented in our area.
I mean, one of the concerns is that Apple will just say, well, don't bind to AD anymore, and then they'll make sure that that happens by dropping support at the operating system level. And it's just, they'll just remove whatever frameworks have made that work ever since OS 10 was introduced, or, you know, very early versions. And so we want to be ahead of that, because we do need, you know, just what they call just-in-time account creation.
And they told me that we do it, we have a social configuration that did not make him admin. And so we wanna we can offline, we can talk more
Sure.
about it and have him to be involved, because he was actually the one that set up the whole Jamf Connect for our system. And so he can provide more depth information.
We're saying, oh, we just bought Connect last week, so we're like planning on a fall deployment. So that would be really interesting.
Is that binding to AD something you do through your MDM?
Well,
You can, but I don't think that it's necessary to bind through. Like, you don't have to push, you could do it from the machine, can't you? With the same script that we deploy through the MDM,
yeah,
you just walk,
You mean binding to Active Directory?
yeah, you just walk up to it
We
and,
do it on our devices. We have certain, you can jam and set up your.
right, Jamf has directory, you can go configure a directory binding.
Right, and when we do that, that was the reason why we went to Jamf in the first place, because it was back in the day.
mhm.
Easier.
That was the easiest. Jamf was very good at doing that, but now we're in the process of switching to Azure,
Mhm.
and we had it working, and then we don't have it working now.
Right.
But we'll get it working.
So are most people trying to move away from Jamf? Is that what I'm kind of getting in this room right now?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I think we're trying to move away from binding to Active Directory.
I think,
We
no,
intend to right now, and in July, when the new fiscal year comes out, they're wanting to buy us Jamf Pro. Nobody that I work with has ever used Jamf. We have most of our devices in Intune right now, but when I first started, we didn't have a good NVM, like his situation. And we've kind of been just teaching ourselves on the engine side with dealing with Macs, but we don't manage software
Mhm.
or anything. I just wanted to make sure that we weren't getting ready to waste a bunch of money if the Jam Pro is no longer the most superior ND for Mac.
Well, see, I think, I guess it's like there's lots of different AVMs. And if it's better that you just, since you're already into a job and you could add, I guess maybe that would depend on what percentage of the device that you have.
Right.
You have a lot or few.
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head.
I think, well, we've been using Jam Pro on-prem the whole time, and it's good. We do a lot of things with it. But there are some things challenges that we're facing. Like, for example, software updates. We had Jam forcing out software updates to all our equipment devices. Of course, the latest version of Mac OS, Apple and their infinite wisdom decided to change the rules, and
Yes.
only an administrator account can update a machine unless someone there can jump something else. But so that kind of broke that. So, and I was told, and again, I need to confirm this, that moving to the cloud, that would resolve.
Well, I think.
I
it's
feel like
not-
their answer is everything is moved to the cloud. Like
Yeah.
any problem you have is gonna be their answer is moved to the cloud. So I don't know how valid it is. But I understand the pain point of that when they made that change. I think though, they've reversed some of that. And now the newer OSs, because they're seen as like, forgive me if I get it wrong, but like a Delta OS upgrade. So they don't require admin as often. Don't quote me on that though.
Well, that would make one of our Jam administrators happy because people are calling him now to do software updates. It's like, this is counterproductive.
My understanding is that it's no longer like a traditional, you don't have to be quote admin, but you have to be a secure token holder.
That's what it is. Volume owner and secure token holder
Volume as well.
is what it.
So, because we've seen it, I've actually tested it where, one of our things says, hey, our nudge thing says, you need to run software update to get it. And then so you do it and it says, enter your username and password to update this Mac. And I'm testing with a local non-admin account, standard account, and that works.
We have two hands up back here. We'll go Daniel first and then
I'm just curious for a show of hands for who's using their MDM to push macOS updates, like enforce, as in like MDM says update, we're gonna update, versus who's still running like the local software update -IAR script, if that's working for anybody at this point. And if anybody is testing out something like Nudge, which seems to be how a lot of shops are moving to, just annoy the user who is a volume owner or a secure token holder until they actually update with annoying problems. So I guess first, who is running MDM enforced updates on their Macs? Anybody?
We are guys, yeah.
Got it. And then is anybody still trying to run the software update -IAR script just as a policy?
I think that one has lost reliability
Yes.
a little bit, but I'm not sure. And then you ask about my favorite one.
And I guess last, is anybody testing Nudge or is anybody implementing something similar to that? Yeah.
So what he's talking about is it's a open source project called Nudge. You can find it on GitHub. It will annoy the crap out of your users until they upgrade. It starts out very gentle, and then it will blur their screen and tell them they have to update after predefined periods of time that you put into the scripts. And it does require, I didn't deploy it out to any of our like Monterey, is that the one, devices, because they were still using the old method of needing an admin password. But above Monterey, Nudge works very well. It will prompt them as the volume owner, then they'll do it. And it's in testing right now. We have a very basic version of Nudge out there, and it's improved our out of date machines drastically. We went down from 1,000 out of date machines to 400 in a month or two. So the basic one It was working really well, and then we're gonna step up to the one that is progressive, and we'll start to annoy them in the predefined periods of time, hopefully over the summer, once I get the sign off that if people yell, they're not yelling at me about the change. And someone else that gave their approval.
And then there's also, well, there's another way to do it, and I wanted to ask, has anyone used MDM mass action commands in Jam to force a software update? Where you go in and it says, and there's a drop down, it says, and you can just say latest version. Would you do that with, is that something you would do in a computer lab, or would you do that for one-to-one deploys?
But I could do it with our lab because our lab was fully managed. It was only based enrollment, so there. But for the 2 classes that we had that were time, there was major security patch roll out. So for the it's like but it ended up working pretty well for that instance.
I do want to be respectful of everyone's time because it is now 10:40, and I think that's the end of our session. I do though, if people want to stay, I do want to hear what I'm gonna refer to you as the Intune guy right now. To say about the last statement. So if those who want to stick around want to hear it, that's cool. But if everyone else you leave, you're not gonna offend me. Our information is up there. So if you want to know more about Nudge and Stalometer or what KU is doing, or want to conversate about how to improve things, you are free to email me. I asked those two. You're free to email them though.
Yeah.
There you go. You can email any one of us on there and we will gladly collaborate with you to make life better. And Intune guy, what was your last? You had to hand it.
So about the updates with Intune, because it uses the book funneling to APM. You don't have to work at that with administrator or standard users because it's already been it's being pushed by Apple already. So they have the highest layer. So when it gets through, it's your NPM will tell Apple device the update. Non-time you have your update policy. I would go with 90 days, go 30 days before updating the latest one, as we can see it.
Perfect.
Because that's the main reason why we got to source. We're